Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nobody Asked Me Guys show. Listen, guys, we're excited about you being here today. Right now, unfortunately, we're having a few technical difficulties, but again, as we've stated many times before, there are always some glitches whenever you use social media. But we're excited because we know that you are here to see, hear, and talk about Gullah days with us and to meet Mr. Emery Camel. Mr. Camel is the gentleman at the bottom, and to meet Mr. Emery Camel, those of us of African descent, and hopefully all of those of us that are interested in world history, more specifically American history, that we're excited about talking to Mr. Camel. There's nothing about having a firsthand account of what actually took place and how things happen to transpire. So while we are waiting Mr. Campbell to join us. Let me just read you a short excerpt from the back of this book when it talks about the Gullah culture. Now it says, born of African roots, isolation and slavery has thrived on the United States East Coast, Sea Islands, since pre-Civil War times, especially on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. On this small barrier land, descendants of the first generations of Gullah people continue to preserve Gullah language, customs, arts, and cuisine. The authors of Gullah Days, Hilton Head Islands Before the Bridge, are among those descendants. And in this book, they chronicle the amazing history of their community from the Civil War through the 1950s, when real estate development connected Hilton Head Islands to the mainland with a bridge. Now, the history of the Gullah Island is an American story. Hilton Head Island was one of the first areas liberated by Union troops after the Battle of Fort Sumter. With plantation owners absent, the formerly enslaved Gullah people embarked on the activities of freedom, enlisting in the Union Army, creating the first Black governed community in the South, complete with a police force, and when formal emancipation arrived, running for office, campaigning, and voting. This book illustrates in vivid detail the story of that past, that post Civil War era, and the tangled perils of Reconstruction that followed, along with the progress and setbacks of African Americans in the South over the next century. Authors rely on the historical records and first person accounts they've gathered from their relatives and other community members to tell this riveting story. So, guys, I know you as excited as I am to await the arrival. We'll wait a few minutes here of Mr. Emery Shaw Campbell. Mr. Campbell is having some technical difficulty. Well, he's not personally having the difficulties, but again, as I said, some of our social media linkage is having difficulty. So while you're here, we just wanted to express to you that we do appreciate you coming. We do appreciate you joining us. We know that you have lots of questions that you want to ask Mr. Campbell. So we just look forward to his entering, and we'll try not to bore you too much. But as we all know, with it being Black History Month, we know that we focus many times on things of historical value, historical perspective. So how does the world decide what is of historical value? I know the historical perspective is simple because anything that happens and then after that fact, even if it's a millisecond later, it's history. But how do we focus on the historical perspective? We know that the history of people began long before slavery when we decide to categorize individuals and even those that look like me who have very heavily melanated skin. Then we most of us, as we understand, if not every single human being on this earth, came from the continent of Africa. So when we say African American history, sadly, on these shores in these United States, we, even us, sometimes are not cognizant of the fact that when we say African American history, is that we are deleting our history of our total sum. So that's has been our push on the Nobody Asked Me Guys show, is to share with you the history of our total sum. I know peoples all over the world have been sharing with you the history of our total sum from the continent to the shores of Tripoli. So tonight, we are in great anticipation of Mr. Emery Shaw Campbell, who runs the Hilton Head, South Carolina, uh, Gullah Islands there, the educational systems. Now, I do not have the rights. I have not secured the rights from Mr. Campbell and his co-authors. The co-authors of this great book is Mr. Thomas C. Barnwell Jr. and Mrs. Carolyn Grant. So I do not have their proxy to really delve into their book and tell you a lot of the things that are in here. So I would certainly be out of place. I would certainly not do them justice. And being an author myself, I would see it as an affront to the authors to even attempt to share their story that they painstakingly written within their publication called Gullah Islands to try to tell you things that are within the book. But I do think it was okay to go ahead and read the excerpts from the back of the book. So we ask that you bear with us for just a few minutes, a few more minutes. Here's Mr. Campbell here. Mr. Campbell, how are you, sir?
Like, how do I get on this thing?
You use the best browser to use is Google
I
Chrome.
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I click on the
Google Chrome. You know, today when we were talking, I didn't share the browser. The best browser is Google Chrome.
Google call.
Chrome, Chrome.
How do I get that?
You when you click at the top in that in your browser bar, click in Google Chrome. You may have to download Google Chrome. I don't know why it's acting up today, but it's only letting us go into Google Chrome for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy's Law. Murphy's.
Google Chrome.
Yes, sir. Okay, and then it'll say download, and when you get to Google Chrome, just hit our link, and that'll bring you right in.
Google Chrome is not coming in on mine.
Oh man, okay. I was doing some introductions here, talking about this beautiful book, and I've been showing them the cover and doing some promotional work so that they can be sure to go out and purchase Gullah Days, Hilton Head Islands Before the Bridge, 1861 to 1956. And if you put it in the browser, if you type in Google Chrome in that browser, Google Chrome should say come up and say download. And I don't know why well, I do know why. You know, it's Murphy's Law and
Google Chrome.
yes, sir.
Google Chrome fast download now.
Yes, sir.
That's what to do.
Yes, sir. And then once it downloads, then you don't have to bother with anything else. You can just hit that link, and it should bring you right to Get Vocal.
There's no link.
Oh, not yet. I'm talking about the link that I mailed to you in your email.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just hit that link, and if I need to shoot it, if I need to shoot that link back to you, I can do that. That's not a problem.
I download Google Chrome.
Yes, sir.
Nothing came up.
Google Chrome didn't open.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you hit what link? Your link?
Yes, sir.
GoogleChrome.com.
Yes, sir. And then once you download it, and then when you hit the link that I sent you on the email, then it'll automatically open Get Vocal.
Yeah, but I can't get back to that.
Okay.
Google Chrome. Get download Chrome. I don't get back to your link.
Okay, I can you can just go to another window. I can resend that link. To matter of fact, I'm going to just resend it to the email or.
Well, the link is here. I mean, I've got your link, but when I go to Google Chrome, I don't see the link anymore. I mean, I can't get to the link from that window.
Okay, well, once that window is open, then you don't have to. Then now since the window is open, then just go back to the link. Now, just go back to your next browser and hit that link, and it should open up since the Google Chrome is open. I don't know why it does that. I have to apologize to you. I should have explained that it's. But I do want to take that link.
Join or create your live video community. What's that saying?
It's just talking about you either make a username or just hit join with Facebook. There should be a segment in that same spot that say join with Facebook. You know.
All right.
Okay. And then once it do,
I gotta create an account.
And that's what I'm saying. It'll say create account, or you can join with Facebook. And it should be right there.
Well, the only thing that must be an account was that.
Okay, on that in that same space, it should say must create an account, or it can say, or it'll say, or join with Facebook. That's why I didn't bother you with all of that, because I said he'll just click on Facebook. But it's a temporary account. It's not anything you have to keep permanent. You just make a temporary account and click that.
I can sign up now with the email and a password.
Yes, sir. It could be something temporary. Yes, sir.
Password, it wouldn't take it.
And I just resent the link to the email just in case you need it again. Hey, Miss Overton, how you doing, dear? We are started. I'm waiting on as you know, Miss Overton, you have these technical difficulties, so we're just working some kinks out. And Mr. Campbell is going to be with us shortly. But we're glad you're here. And feel free to grab a spot if you like. Come on in and talk with us and share.
Oh man.
It's still not allowing you to put a password in? When it say create a username and password? But that's why I was saying I most of the time 99% of the time we're doing shows, we just click on add Facebook, and that's it. I mean, click on the come in through Facebook. So when you hit Facebook, then that just automatically bring you into Get Vocal. But I'm going to edit all this out anyway. You know how Murphy's Law is, Mr. Campbell. it's, yeah. Matter of fact, when I was on with Clifton Davis, you remember That's My Mom and Amen show? I said, do you remember the show That's My Mama and Amen? And used to be with the Reverend Greg, the guy that played Reverend Gregory, Clifton Davis. Yeah. Yes, sir. When he came on the show, we had a time getting his stuff to act right, but we finally got all the bugs worked out. Okay, I don't know whether. But when we're working from the Google Chrome, just make sure you make sure you're on the Google Chrome browser, because it does act up if you're not in Google Chrome browser. Oh boy. Oh, that's all right. Just we good. I'm getting no feeling. Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, for guys, for those of you that's watching live, we appreciate your patience and glad you're staying here with us, because we have some interesting materials that we're going to be discussing, and all of us are aware of. I would hope that we're all aware. As we talk about Black history, we know that history is any occurrence happen a tenth after you finish talking about it. But unfortunately, we limit ourselves when it comes to African American history. Unfortunately, we act as if our history only started when we entered these shores of what was deemed the United States of America. But we know that our history is steeped rich in tradition from the beginning of time. We know that the continent of Africa is so huge. You can place America is almost the size of a thimble when it actually come up against the continent of Africa. So we want each and every one of you, as you've joined us tonight, Mr. Campbell, once he comes on, and we don't want to take up a whole lot of his time. He's been very kind to come here with us. But as we're doing this, I want to encourage you guys to make sure that you go to Amazon or one of the other sites, or possibly Barnes and Noble or some of those guys, and purchase this book, Gullah Days. They're very beautiful, colorful, as I'm showing you here. It's a very colorful book. I see this young lady sitting on the porch in a swing, remind me of my grandmother, and the gentleman that's sitting there. So the cover is certainly familiar with us, and you will have the privilege of having received information from not only one author, being Mr. Emery Shaw Campbell, but from Mr. Thomas C. Barnwell Jr. and from Miss Carolyn Grant. Now, those are the other two individuals that have joined with Mr. Campbell to put together this outstanding documentary. And let me tell you, it is certainly outstanding. And it does a detail. It does a detail piece of historical information that talks about not only coming to the islands, about maintaining the islands, about how the land was secured, and how some of the land was not excuse me, remain in the hands. It talks about, certainly talks about legacy. Now, all of you guys know how I feel about legacy. So this undertaking in and of itself is extremely, extremely phenomenal because you have in 2020 a very powerful legacy. Although we do understand, and you'll see as you read through the book, and as you hopefully when you visit Hilton Head, South Carolina, you you will see some of the sir. You will see some of the traditional settings are no longer present. You'll see. Uh, uh,
Well,
yes, sir.
I've got my wife here trying to help me on.
Okay, okay.
Clicked on, and what you've got now is. You need my mobile number?
No, ma'am. What transpires as I was sharing with Mr. Campbell is that we have to use the Google Chrome browser, and that when you're in the on the Google Chrome browser, it usually just bring you right in. You hit the link. I mailed the link, and you hit that link, and it usually bring you right in. But for some reason, if it's on Internet Explorer or something like that, it gives you all kind of difficulty. And I'll be honest with you, I can't explain why. We've complained about that to Get Vocal forever, but using Google Chrome, it brings you right in.
Okay, well, somehow, let me see if I can go back.
Yes, ma'am. And when you get in Google Chrome,
when I get
when you get in Google Chrome, I think Mr. Campbell already downloaded it, and then you can just go back to his email and click that link, and it should bring you right in.
All right, let me. Somehow it's not there. Try it again.
Okay, ma'am. So, guys, let me applaud you guys. You're so patient. You're so patient, and I appreciate you guys being patient. I appreciate you being excited enough to hang around with us and to hear Mr. Campbell as we talk about Gullah Days and as we talk about Hilton Head Islands before the bridge. And it just chapter one itself. Even the title, Freedom's Door. Anytime we see something that talks about freedom, people have all kind of little cute cliches. Freedom is not free and all of that kind of thing. However, it is a very powerful word, and we know that freedom has to do with freeing the mind first and foremost. I mean, obviously, no one wants to be put in chains. Obviously, no one wants to be locked away in some kind of steel trap. Obviously, we do not want any of that. However, when our minds are clouded and we can't see ourselves clearly, we don't understand various perspectives of our lives, we don't understand how we exist, we don't understand what our legacies are, etc. So, just the first chapter of this book alone, when it talks about freedom's door, no clouds darken the sky, no winds swept the sea, yet thunder shook Hilton Head Island on November 7th, 1861, or so it seemed. So, as we talk about freedom, we got to understand. And the mom says, son, that ain't no thunder. His mother told him in her little thing, African speech, that Yankee come to give you freedom. So understand, just the very first piece of information you talk about, it talks about power, it talks about support, it talks about understanding what's happening and what's going to take place. It talk about you should be able to feel the revelation that this mother, as she is saying to her son about people coming to give you freedom, you should be able to feel the revelation within this mom as she was explaining and expressing herself as to what the significance of the noise was. So not only was it about freeing a physical being, or physical beings, I should say, it was about freeing the entire mind. And we still struggle to this day, sadly, in 2020, of people of color understanding about the freeing of our minds. we hear phrases like mega, make America great again. What exactly does that say to you as an individual? What exactly does that say to you as a human being? Because remember, we talk about legacy, we talk about history. So when someone say to you, make America great again, how does that speak to your history as being a human being, as being a part of this great America? Or you have a statue of liberty sitting out there in the ocean that was a gift of France, and some group of individuals who we might call white took the pain to chisel away the broad nose, to make several cosmetic changes to make it what take someone else's gift that they had given to these United States that was supposed to be a melting pot of all its people, to take someone else's gift and to try to change that gift and fashion that gift into what they wanted it to be. So, sir, yes, sir, can you hear me? 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 Hold on a second, guys. Mr. Campbell, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello. Thank you for calling Gullah Tours, proudly telling the Gullah story since 1996.
Can you hear me?
On another line, away from the phone briefly.
Can you hear me?
Apology. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay.
Got cut off.
Yes, sir. I think the call dropped.
We still don't have any luck getting on here.
Oh man. Can Do you think you'll be available tomorrow at this time?
No, I know I won't be available tomorrow.
Okay. What would be another time you could be available? Then we can work these kinks out.
Maybe Monday.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am.
Monday might work.
Okay. I will let our audience know that I'm going to re-advertise the book, and I will make sure I get with you and Ms. Campbell so we can work these kinks out. Will you go to Google Chrome? And I don't know why this thing is acting up tonight. This is really frustrating because we are live right now, and we are literally all over the country. But I'll take care of it.
It kind of stopped a minute ago. It's the screen that says, before joining, let's verify you're a real person.
Okay. Oh, wow. And then it's usually a little circle or something, isn't it? I know on mine, if that comes up, you just click that little circle and a little green button or something comes up and you just mash in.
Oh, yeah. You don't have it.
Okay. I guess this all of this modern computer craziness with them trying to make sure people not robots.
Oh, well.
Okay. You want to try? Okay. Can we try again Monday?
Yeah, let's do a dry run Monday for the program.
Yes, sir. Okay. I'll do it.
All right.
Thank both of you so very much.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we didn't ever get our glitches worked out, but guess what? You have the opportunity to get this thing. You have the opportunity to get this thing full blown on Monday, 7 o'clock p.m. We will please come back and join us. We know that you have very busy schedules. However, we do ask that you come back on Monday and join us for Mr. Emery Campbell. So without further ado, we want you guys to have a great and blessed night. Miss Overton, Overton Nation, thank you so very much for being so loyal and coming to work with us. And I sincerely hope that you are able to join us on Monday night. I actually hope that you are able to come and FaceTime and do some conversation with Mr. Campbell yourself, along with me. You know, we may want to co-host this thing. So if you get an opportunity, give me a buzz. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. It's Friday night. I know some of you are partiers, so we want you guys to go ahead and get your party on. But please, please, please come back Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. The Nobody Asked Me Guy show. We will be speaking with none other than Mr. Emery Shaw Campbell, one of the three authors of Gullah Days, and we will just be talking about his history and historical events. So have a great and blessed weekend. Don't party too much. This has been your host, Melvin Casey Lars, the Nobody Asked Me Guy.